Don't worry, it's real easy. We have fun. I'm not gonna make fun of you or anything.
Right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
you're fine.
Yep. Okay. I like literally just got done washing my hair right before we joined. I was worried I wouldn't be able to finish in time.
I like it. It
But I
looks
did.
good.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Join the cool hair club.
You guys are such girls. You know that.
You don't have a wash day, Dante? You don't do wash day with your hair?
I'm only half black. I got white people here. Remember, I don't. I wash it and give it a little shake, and everything's done. That's not. Also part of why I trimmed it, so I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Here we go. Grab your chairs. We're about to go for a fucking ride. Oh my. Yo. 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 How's everybody doing this morning? It's SuitMan, your neighborhood crazy guy. I'm vaccinated. I'm alive. Like I told everybody else, we all joked about, are we going to get a superpower now since we're already autistic? I did not. I did not get a superpower, in case anybody was wondering. But good morning. We have a great show for you today. We have a comedian that I've worked with a lot lately, and I also kind of the idea what they're going through. I've heard a lot. We've talked about a lot one on one. So it's going to be interesting to have this interview and give everybody really a chance to hear their story and um, see where we go from there. But let's go through our morning roll call. Some more. Oh Jesus! Our first co-host today. I see they changed their name. Give it up for older sunshine Audra.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see the potato chip enthusiasts forgot their damn sound effects. Also today we have looking more like her logo. We have the potato chip enthusiast Janejira Damron.
It's me. Happy Pride.
For whatever reason, they're not as loud as they were last time.
Oh,
And
that's
then
weird.
I know, right? And then last but not least, um, our guest for today is a very wonderful comedian out of New York. Give it up for Rachel Dunbar.
Hi. I'm actually out of I'm actually in Boston right now. I'm out of Boston.
You're out of Boston? Is it? Am I
Yeah.
fucking up? You're always out of Boston. Yeah, I am fucking up. That's right. I remember now our awkward scenario on our last fucking show. Never mind. We'll get in that soon enough. Don't worry. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your name? Where you're at? What you do? Just
Yeah.
give
Hi.
me a little
So
intro.
I'm Rachel Dunbar. I live in Boston. I'm from Virginia originally. I always feel like I have to say that because I don't want people to think I'm actually from Boston. Um, I am a Boston-based comedian and teacher, and I've officially been doing stand-up for 2 years, although I started in college. And yeah, and I just found out I was autistic about a year ago. So
Wow. Wait, wait. So you're a teacher and a comedian?
yes.
Yes,
Ooh,
we have real jobs. We don't. Most of us, nothing against Rachel. She is funny, but no, she has a real fucking job. Go ahead. Sorry. Is that all you were
Is it?
gonna say? I interrupted you too early. What grade do you teach, Rachel?
I teach kindergarten. for the
Oh,
little ones. Yeah, I love it.
sweet.
I like the sound effect.
Yeah, and exhausting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that would be the word I would say for it. Fuck them kids. I don't. Yeah, yeah, fuck them kids. I couldn't teach kindergarten. That's when they're still they're rude as hell, right? They're never mind. I'm sorry. All kids are rude as hell. I don't know. Never mind. You're not allowed to beat kindergartners, right? Are you allowed to spank them anymore? When I was there, we got spankings. Like, how does it work?
It is frowned upon. No, I can't. I can't. And I wouldn't. That's why I can't wait to have my own kids so I can hit them all I want. So.
You laugh, but there is a lot of truth to that. Once they're yours, you've brought them in this world, you can take them out, right?
But if anybody else hurts them, they're in trouble.
Oh, we got a fucking problem. You want to hit my kids? That's not okay. Somebody else wants. I want to hit my kids. That's totally fine. Well, tell us. You said you only found out about your diagnosis a year ago. How did that all happen?
Well, how did I find out? Or yeah. So it's just like it is in my a joke that I have, where I was just hanging out with my mom. We were decorating the Christmas tree. I don't know how it came up, but she was like, "Yeah, you're autistic. You're on the autism spectrum." I forget what we were talking about. We might have been talking about somebody else that was on the autism spectrum, but she was like, "Yeah, you're autistic. You're autistic too." And I was like, "Okay," because she didn't do a good job explaining it. She basically said it was because you have ADD, an executive functioning disorder. But then I actually, during the pandemic, I was talking to my roommate, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm on the autistic spectrum too. I have something called nonverbal learning disorder," and they were listing all of the characteristics of somebody with nonverbal learning disorder. And I was like, "Oh my God, that sounds just like me." And so I did a little bit more research on my own, and I realized, oh, I think this is what I had this whole time. No one told me it was this. And I bought a book on it, and I did some more research. I also found out that Chris Rock found out that he has nonverbal learning disorder recently, around the same time that I did, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, and I think for me, it was more of a relief than anything else. I don't know why. It just was like, oh, here's something that explains everything that I sucked at and everything that was tough in my life.
I think that's the biggest thing is for a lot of us late diagnosed people. I mean, I can't speak for Duante, but I can speak from my experience and from those that I know. It's that it explains literally our entire life.
That's like I had somebody ask. So Audra was the one who made it apparent that I have Asperger's. That's a whole different story. We had our first pre-interview, and she's like, "You're on the spectrum." No. And then I thought back, and I was like, "Well, yeah, I grew up in portable classes my whole life, and everybody else was really fucked up in those classes. Not to say anybody's worse or, well, yeah, we can say that. And there's some that are more functioning, less functioning, more able to get through things or whatever." And so I can remember being in those classrooms and looking around and going, "I'm not as bad as these guys, right? But I know I don't get along in class." And then I did an interview with ARC, which is our local resource center for autism. And the guy got 5 minutes into the interview was that, "Oh yeah." And I was, really? Whatever, bro. I don't want to believe it. And then we did the Black Autism thing panel, and fuck, that was fucked up. Like, we all had the same answers of, I remember getting sent out of class because the teacher was tired of dealing with me, but I wasn't doing really anything wrong, or having a chair in being treated in ways you should not be treated, like having a desk in a room and not having windows and being sent there all day because they don't want to deal with you and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around those things except for that's what our school system does to us. So trust me, I read up on it. Let me ask you, because I know the answer to this. When you say your mom, tell us about your family situation, because I know this is a little bit different. Everybody might be wondering, well, why in the hell would somebody's mom wait so long and so many different things?
I'm not terribly sure why she would wait so long, but I think what you mean is I'm adopted. My parents are white. And my other siblings are adopted as well. We're all different ethnicities. But I'm not terribly sure if that had to do with why he didn't tell me, but I think it did help me getting, oh no, I'm frozen.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was, okay. I do think my parents being white did help me get the services that I need, and I was in a much better situation than I think other Black people who get an autism diagnosis or don't get a diagnosis rather, because I know I have a friend of mine, her brother is autistic. They're Black, and the mom had a really hard time advocating for him getting the diagnosis that he needed and the services that he needed. And she noticed that she was having a lot harder time getting him what he needed than his white counterparts who were also autistic. So I think in a way, I think being adopted by white people in this case helped me.
I'm sorry the way you said that, like this in this way, like I didn't learn how to do my hair properly before, but that at least helped me get my autism services, right? Like
Yeah.
my potato salad is horrible, right? But no, I didn't mean that in a bad way. It's just I know enough about your comedy and working with you to know some of these, not so much, I guess you could say triggers, but to know some of these things that you're dealing with, not dealing with, but you know what I mean, the background story. And let me ask you, what races are your siblings? Because it sounds like a UN meeting, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. So my sister's Indian, my brother's Vietnamese. So it's more like a focus group than.
And we got a little Asian kid, right? We got a Black daughter, and then your other sister's what?
Indian.
Oh yeah, they went for the whole gambit, didn't they? Is that Native American or tribal American when you say that, or East Indian?
She's Indian, like Indian from the country of India.
I have to ask. I'm sorry. Like I'm
So Duante's not from the East Coast, and I happen to know this because I come from New York, and when people say Indian, I know they mean from India.
No, out here we got a ton of Indians, so when they say Indian, they usually mean
yeah. Like indigenous, yeah.
Tribal. That's I don't know if that's what I think we like. I don't know these days.
Native American.
Native
American or indigenous.
Yeah,
I think is what.
Duante's still taking his time to learn. I have to give him props.
You're totally wrong. A lot of my friends prefer the idea of tribal because there's no such thing as Native American because that's one big clump of people, and then they'd like to be called tribal, they're tribal Indians. It's kind of like this whole autism thing. I had somebody get mad at me for the way I used autism awareness versus autism accepted. Like I don't fucking know, dude. Like I'm not fighting about this. I'm trying to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my own opinions about that as well, as Duante knows. But
yeah, we're on the same. Unfortunately, I know she's on my side, so fuck you, Audra.
What is it?
What'd you say?
Are we on different sides of the person first and disability first language debate here?
I happen to like autistic and disabled. Those are my terms.
Okay.
And as far as awareness and acceptance, I prefer acceptance. I prefer the infinity symbol. I've always made that, on my page, it's very clear. Duante, he prefers whatever is on there. He don't care.
And that was the other thing. Like it was like I guess my point to it, and I think it's a frustration that fuck it, I'll say it because I've got another black autist here. As a black autist person, you see people do all this shit, and then you want to nitpick at what I'm doing. I'm like, there's a little bit of racism behind it because I don't see you nitpicking at all the fucking white people about this shit. And that's where I get frustrated as you see these white people want to be like, you said awareness instead of acceptance. Bitch, we're in the same group. Shut the fuck up. And that's that's where it comes from for me, is that it's the recreating of Caucasian people telling you you're not black anymore, you're African American, and things like that, to where it applies to me in autism, where I'm just like, look, motherfucker, you're not going to tell me how to tell me. You're going to tell me how to tell myself how to label myself. And that's a very...
Well, that's what...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I have a joke about that, and how I think it's ridiculous when people say person with autism, or insist that you say person with autism as opposed to autistic person, or an autistic. And I know that there are a lot of other people who in the autism community who actually don't prefer disability first language as opposed to person first language. And it drives me crazy, like you said, Duante, when people who are neurotypical who are trying to tell me and everybody else what to say, when I just think it's ridiculous. I'm not a person with blackness. I'm not a person with queerness, so why am I a person with autism? And and I find it frustrating that there are people who are neurotypical trying to tell everyone else what to say. And I think it doesn't even come from a place of, wanting to do right by autistic people. It really comes from a place of just wanting to seem politically correct, or, prove it, show everyone how woke they are, instead of actually engaging with autistic people and asking them how they want to be referred to.
What? No way. Like, they do that to us already. You're not black anymore, Duante. You're African American. You know what I mean? Like, that was the point. I can't.
It's not even African American. It's person of color.
Yeah,
it's. Call you black or African. It's like you're a person of color.
What the fuck? We haven't been colored since the '60s. You racist prick. I'm black, white, and Native American, right? Like, fuck.
They're like, oh, police are, disproportionately, destroying communities of color or people of color. I'm like, no, they're not going around beating up Asians. They're going around beating up black people.
They really are.
So that brings me to my another point. A good question. I see you don't like the BIPOC term either. Like, I guess I'm getting to the age where I'm so grumpy that I don't even know what half these fucking acronyms are. And then by the time I figure them out, I'm like, why don't you just say black people or minorities? We don't say minorities no more. We say BIPOC. What does that even stand for? What is it?
From what I understand, it stands for Black Indigenous People of Color. To be honest, I think I don't use it. I think the idea is that you're specifying about a certain group that I think has been more oppressed than other groups of color. I don't know, to be honest, but it sounds like if you're talking about Black and Indigenous people, so obviously like like Africans and Indigenous and Latino people, I think, as opposed to Asian folks. I don't know.
See, and this is where I think your East Coast bias and our West Coast bias has a different term on the meaning for this. Because in Seattle, BIPOC means non-white people.
Correct.
And we've had a major issue that we're not getting supported because they say this is a BIPOC, BIPOC, whatever you want to damn say, situation or funding. And they're giving it to Asian people or they're giving it to Latinos. And you're like, that's not black. The first word in this fucking thing is black, and right? And so that's where I found that, and I think it kind of goes along with this whole person of autism bullshit, is that people are using labels to decide on who they want to support. And by using a particular label, they're able to, what is the word? Is it seclude or separate those who they don't want to help, but still have an umbrella term that makes it seem like they're helping the right people. Does that make any sense to you guys over there?
Yeah, I mean they're doing. If you've noticed, they're doing that with Juneteenth and Pride Month right now. I mean, have you noticed? Have you seen all of the flags that were celebrated yesterday for Juneteenth? And I have never seen that happen before until now. Why? Because it's a political marketing thing, and I did not appreciate that. It was supposed to be for education purposes.
Mhm.
I heard a black comic say the other day, is like, if I'd have known white people were going to get Juneteenth off, I wouldn't have wanted it to be a holiday. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, there are white people who have it off, and there are working class black people who are like service workers who didn't get to have it off. No,
Mhm.
that's not fair.
Exactly.
And the thing is, I think there are some white people who understand the holiday, understand this day and what it means, and want to take that day to educate themselves. But I think there are a lot of other white people who are like, woohoo, I'll go to the beach, you know,
Mhm.
I'll barbecue, and and it's just like, for them, it's like, oh, I get another day off from work, instead of like taking that day to understand the weight of it and understand what it truly means. Because it's not exactly like a woohoo kind of day. It's a day.
I'm mad at the way he said it. It's not really a woohoo kind. Like, I don't. I had people clap it as, what are you white people clapping for? Like, what? It's not. I don't want to hear. Never mind. Sorry. I was at a show where I was like, the black people were the talent. And it was like, I know you guys don't care about Juneteenth. What the fuck are you clapping for? Like, you're still living. Never mind. I digress. Sorry, I'm angry this morning. I'm all over the place. I'm fully vaccinated. Everybody, hello. So I've been all over the fucking place the last 2 days.
Did you get a Pfizer or Moderna? Moderna? Or...
I got a Pfizer.
Okay. I got Pfizer too. It's supposed to be the one with the most mild of side effects. I mean, things, affect different people differently, but
I just been out of it. Like,
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know any other way to put it. Like,
Mhm.
about, I think the first night at about 12 o'clock, my stomach just went, my
Oh,
body
no.
went, I went puked in public, came home, had to
Oh,
park
dear.
in front of my house, almost had an emergency before I got to the bathroom, if you know what I mean. Like, it was not a good sign. And then last night, same thing. I slept 13 hours, so it's not so much that I just don't feel like me, I guess.
Okay.
This isn't about me. This is about you, Rachel. Jesus Christ.
I know,
You
because
got your curl out. Go ahead.
I had to ask because I love comedy. Like, and I've seen Rachel, I've seen your stand-up. It's really funny. It's really good. And so, you said that your favorite comedian was this person named Amber. I have never heard of Amber. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got started in comedy and how you got on to this person, Amber, and your journey there?
Amber Ruffin?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she has her own show now. She used to be on Late Night with Seth Meyers. I don't know if she's still there, but now she has a show that comes on, I think, a bit later. I think it's just called the Amber Ruffin Show. But yeah, so yeah, for a while, my favorite. Here's the thing. Unlike most comedians, I don't really follow a lot of comedians. I don't really follow a lot of comedy. I don't watch a lot of specials. I don't pay attention. Like, it's not because I don't want to. It's just something that I just don't do. And it's interesting because when I was interested in comedy back in college, I used to listen to other comedians' recordings and things like that. Like, I was really into Kathleen Madigan for a really long time.
Yeah.
But now, as of 2 years ago, when I really started getting back into it, I just lost interest in really listening to other comedians' recordings and watching their specials and all that. So I don't know why. I
know why. And I'll comment on this one. There's that gray area where you find yourself wanting to feel like you're better, or you find yourself judging, or you don't want to, what's the word? Incorporate what you're hearing into what you're doing.
that is a really good part of it, to be honest, because there were times where when I was starting in college, I would hear a joke that I liked, and I think it would influence either a joke that I would write or something else that I would like performance wise, like delivery wise, and then it just wasn't me. So I do agree with you, Duante. It is a lot easier to be more original and be more authentically you when you're not listening to everybody else.
It's interesting because I have a comedy coach that I'm working with right now, and he's actually one of my really longer friends. I'm not going to say because Dante's been not my oldest friend, but my longest friend.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't go there. Yeah, you son of a bitch.
And so this person is coaching me, and they actually don't listen to comedy either because
That's so interesting.
Yeah, because they don't want to incorporate it into their work, and they don't. And I find that with a lot of autistic people as well, because I know for myself, I have like echolalia to the point that I will repeat something if I really like it a lot and stim on it, vocally, and I will use it in conversation to the exact tone and perseverance and cadence, and I don't want to bring that into my writing.
That's really interesting that you say that. I'm realizing so many things right now. But yeah, actually, because I used to do that when I was younger. When I would watch something on TV, I would repeat it even out of context. I never knew why I did that.
Yeah.
And everyone else thought it was really weird. They're like, "Why are you saying that?" But yeah, I definitely, yeah, I think that's definitely right. Because even when I was before I really started getting back into comedy a year ago, I was listening to like a lot of Aparna Nancherla, who I also really like. She's an Indian American stand-up comedian. She talks a lot about depression, and I found myself when I was doing open mics talking about it the way that she would, and so I think it is for the best that I don't listen to anybody. And I feel like that's done a lot. It's made my comedy a lot better, just to be more original in myself.
I can definitely say you are you are 100% authentic. That's and I think that's what makes you so great, is that you are authentic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That's what's killing me. And unfortunately, you're a host right now. I need you to switch me back to host because I can't fix the screens. I've sent you a message. So I was hoping you'd figure it out before. There we go. All right. So the idea is, and one of the things I was going to say is that's really the major reason why I think a lot of people, especially if you're good at this, you don't want to listen to other shit, because by osmosis, if I'm constantly listening to stuff, I'm going to take it in and use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really had to focus on, I try to watch like Bo Burnham's Inside, and after 2 minutes, I was just, this is fucking horrible. And then I start analyzing their comedy, or I start, you know what I mean? Like the only time I found it to be good is if I can take what they're doing and look at the formula, what they're doing, and apply that. And what I mean by that is taking working on the storytelling side of comedy, and looking at how they've taken a story and turned it in from the story into a 10-15 minute segment and had callbacks and all that. But I don't listen to comics that look like me for a reason. I don't mind listening to the comics who don't look like me, because it's like, I'm not going to steal your joke. I don't have your experience, but I don't really try to listen to black comedy anymore. It's too much for me. Well, let me ask you this. I've got I don't know. I'm going to put you on spotlight and talk to you about this, because you were around when this happened to me. So we did a show, and it was weird because we had somebody, I basically lost my shit. Why don't we put it that way? And they didn't know it. I was in the background crying, right? And we talk about this because I haven't really talked about this because I wasn't for Chase's interview, for one. That's my fault too. I'm pretty sure he didn't deal with this either. He's kind of a younger kid. But in the black community, we don't get a lot of respect for being autistic. And then on top of it, they made a pansexual joke about right after Rachel said they were pansexual. and like about frying, and it was like, dude, how much low hanging fruit does our community have to take from us, right? And
Mhm.
let me ask you, do you feel like being adopted and not being in the Black culture, have you experienced that from your family as much as you think you do from your, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
are you getting it at home the same way we get it when we go to our Black shows?
No, not really. I think my mom always thought I was queer anyway. So, and I would be like, I'm not. And then I kind of came out to that a couple of years ago. I was on a show called Queer Comedy Hour, which is a show that a friend of mine in Boston used to host. And I showed my parents the tape, and so that's how they found out. It was kind of, and
Like,
then we just never talked about it. But
that was very white of them. Duly noted. All right, we're gonna file that away, right?
yeah, I think they just were like, okay, you're queer, like you're queer. It wasn't like a big conversation. And that's the thing about like white families. Like there are a ton of conversations. Everything just kind of like gets swept under the rug a little bit. As far as being autistic goes, I mean, I always had trouble growing up, especially with socially. So with nonverbal learning disorder, there are a couple areas where we struggle. So it's kind of a misnomer. It's not necessarily a misnomer, but it's terribly named because it basically means that I really have really high verbal skills, but a lot of other there are a lot of other areas in which I have challenges. So academics, especially with things like math, and spatial awareness, and physically, I get like a coordination, hand-eye coordination, like my fine and gross motor skills and balance are really tough for me. And social skills, I think, much like anyone else on the autism spectrum, it's things like picking up on nonverbal cues or just like social, like personal space and things like that are tough for me. So there are a lot of ways in which things were tough for me growing up. My parents didn't really understand me that well, but I don't think it was to the extent that it is in the Black community, because I remember we were on that show together, Duante, and there was another woman. She talked about having a son on the autism spectrum. And I know she was joking, but she basically said something like, oh, I can't stand him, or something like that. Or, I take him to the police and I say, you keep him, or something like that. And she was joking, but it's still like, it hurt to know that there was another there's a parent on the show who had a child, and this is the way that they were going to talk about them. And, I was on a show with another guy, a really good guy, Cy Courtney. He's a comedian, he's Black, he has a daughter who's on the autism spectrum. When I shared that with him on his show, he was so excited. He was like, oh, you represent something really important for me because my daughter's on the spectrum. And so that really makes me happy. And, I would love for her to come, see your shows more. And I really enjoyed having that interaction with him and his family, and to have that interaction and then have the interaction that I had most recently. It was really disheartening, especially since when that woman first said, like, I have a child on the autism spectrum. I thought it was going to be like this happy moment where we could connect, but she used that opportunity to punch down to her son, which I
That's
thought.
something. And then that was something that I was just so frustrated with in that moment, because for one, it was a show that I'm not on. It was Solstice to Sundays, so I'm really just in the background. So I have no way to defend myself or say anything. And then I look like the ominous Wizard of Oz if I do chime in and go, hey, I don't like that, right? And then the other part of it was like, that's the shit we deal with every day. I guess that's what kicked my ass the most. Is like, if I'm in public, people make fun of me for being quiet or not too aggressive. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in public, I'm not really that loud. And
Yeah, and
I see Audra shaking her head. Go ahead.
I have two modes. I have very quiet or obnoxious. Not obnoxious, but I'm just like very animated, very talkative. And I think that's just because that's come from just my social skill, lack of social skills, and just I'm trying to mask and seem more neurotypical in certain spaces. But Yeah, I think, it comes from, I just don't understand. I feel like in many ways, and Dante, we could probably talk about this another time, but I think there are ways in which the Black community is just behind in a lot of things when it comes to, queer issues of LGBT members in our community, when it comes to, um, talking about abuse, and when it comes to talking about people who are neurodivergent. And I'm wondering how much of that has to come with just the lack of access to the education um, surrounding neurodivergency. But I mean, I do hear that from some other parents, like, my son, I don't get him. He just enact right, and
No, that's the lovely one, and that's the one that I've been hearing so much, especially doing this show, is that, and I like it. Don't get me wrong. Is people, oh my God, you do a show about that? That's so awesome, right? And you feel all pumped up for them, and then they say something like, I don't know how my kid's gonna make it. And you're like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Like that. They're not that, like the one kid yesterday, her daughter. So there's a lady locally that I know I met, and when I met her, she was crying and she wanted to give me a hug. And well, part of it was probably she was drunk, but she was like, my daughter's autistic, and it's so important that you do your show. And she's not dying. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's the important part, is that the autism is not gonna like kill you, right? Like that's not gonna hurt you, the actual autistic part of you. Now there's situations you can get yourself into that, may hurt you. But I think you represent a very important piece to all of this. And I'm not going to use the word puzzle, not to trigger anybody.
Gross.
Yeah. But I think because you represent, the Black community, you represent an autistic community, disabled. I mean, and you're adopted. You just have so many. I mean, as far as intersectionality and being queer, you cover almost everything. And this is why it's so important that you tell your story. I would love to see you maybe, I don't know, write a book, do more shows. I mean, they're right, absolutely right.
Yeah, I check a lot of boxes. I'm like equal opportunity bingo over here. But
yeah, that's how I feel. Like if you need somebody to be your friend and get out of being called racist or a whole bunch of boxes, just say you're friends with Duante. That'll check off like 5 of them.
I've been thinking about charging people to say that I'm their friend to get them out of
a bad idea. The only thing
situations.
Black people are telling everybody I'm their white friend now, you fuckers. Like I don't. You assholes laugh too much at that. I'm going to respond to somebody who had a comment on actually the live video. So
Okay.
Don Zanklin out of Canada asked.
Hey, Don.
Yeah, I know you know Don. Is the ignorance from the lack of access and mixed messages from religious institutions? I don't even know if that's even it. It's the I don't remember how this. There's no was so I remember I can't remember what movie or what. There was some Black entertainment where one of the son or the cousin or the younger relative was complaining about being disabled in some way, and the other character said, we're Black, that doesn't matter. And I think that's the Rachel Audra knows, obviously has heard this before, but I think that's the old adage, and there's no nice. We've always been, and there's no nice way to say this. I'm just gonna say this: we've always been niggas as far as history goes, and so none of that other shit mattered because we're Black. They're still trying to kill us, hang us, whatever. I don't care if you're special or not. You need to figure out how to act in class. I don't care if you've got ADD or not, or ADHD. You're not gonna fucking embarrass me at school. And so, you know what I mean? Like, there's just certain expectations within the Black community that we're not going to do this. We're not going to have an excuse. We're already Black. We're already this. And that's where I think a lot of stuff gets lost in the shuffle. And the bigger one, which was something we talked about on that black panel, was if you're, let's just be real, if you were a kid of the 80s or 90s, you were probably on medical coupons. And
Mhm.
like Rachel hinted at earlier, having Caucasian parents who probably had a little bit of money and weren't sitting on fucking food stamps and welfare meant that they weren't going to the same 7 doctors that everybody else had to go to, right? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, you can share it. It's already live. It's already on, and I tagged Janet, Rachel, so they should know it.
Okay.
And then it'll be on YouTube too, so don't worry. But and then the other part of it is that we don't have that opportunity because it was $2,000 to go to an autism specialist.
Hmm.
Do most Black families have just $2,000 laying around?
Probably not. And then that's what we said too, is I don't, like I said, the lack of education. I watched another panel and of people on the autism spectrum, and they're saying, all the literature is written by white men for white autistic people. When if everyone were to close their eyes and imagine an autistic person in their head, they're probably going to think about a little white 12-year-old boy named Kieran. They're not going to think about a 28-year-old Black woman. I mean, it's almost like, I feel like in the Black communities, like that's just not something that we do, or that's just not something that we acknowledge. Like, if someone is not making eye contact when they speak, or they're stimming, or they're having trouble communicating, they're just acting weird, and it's not, and they're just not acting right. And when parents do try and get help for their children, they're turned away, or they're not given the diagnosis that they need, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. And this is why I love this show, and why I love that Duante, came to me with all of this, and that I get to do this with him, because I mean, look at the representation that you have right now. Like I said, just your story. We have Janejira, who
Yeah,
is
she does
also,
talk every once in a while, in case you were wondering.
Well, so like
every once in a while.
I'm on the side of the spectrum where, like, every time I tell people, yeah, I'm on the spectrum, they're like, what? I had no idea. You don't seem whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the point of masking.
Yeah.
I hid it from you and myself, mostly from me.
Yeah, I tell people I save all my hand flapping for Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you can catch me. Catch me there. But yeah, when people say like, "Oh, I had no idea," I'm like, "Yeah, that's because I'm working really hard so that you have no idea." I work so hard at masking, pretending to be, taking on the traits of someone we perceive to be neurotypical, and so that it doesn't happen. So I don't really care about getting clocked too much, but now that I'm an adult, but it's there's a reason why we don't, like, no one, if none of us want to I'm trying to find a way to articulate this, but none of us actually want to be, ooh, Rachel's, she's autistic, she's a little weird, like, no one wants that. So this is what we do, and it's not because we want to, it's because that's how we survive. It's not, if I could go around the world and just be me without having any consequences to that would be great. It's not us that's the problem, it's society that's the problem. But unfortunately, we have to do all this stuff just to look a little bit normal, and it sucks. And there are people who don't have the ability to mask as well, and it's unfortunate.
I think a funny story, like a couple years ago, Duante and I were watching Saturday Night Live. We were hanging out, and I was like, excuse me, I have to go stim. And I literally went into the chair and was just rocking and like pulling my hair, because it was an exciting, like, releasing stim for me, because we were just hanging out. I was having fun, and I needed to stim and do something, but I wasn't sure if he was comfortable with me just doing that next to him. And so I literally went to the chair over, and I just wasn't sure like what he was thinking, but I did because I thought, okay, this is me. I can't mask any longer. I can't hold it in.
It's
Then,
almost like a relief.
You're
Yes.
fucking weird, but get it over with, right? Like, I'm not, you're like, all right, you gonna be okay? How many minutes do you need? Do you need 7?
Yeah.
Do you need 7? Just tell me when I can talk to you again. Let me know when you figure the fuck out.
I mean, I'm stimming right now. I'm like moving my legs up and down.
Oh, I know.
in here
I
and
know.
stuff.
I paid attention. I figured that out a long time ago. Yeah, you get nervous. Yeah, I figured that. I guess that's my problem is when I call out everybody else's stim. I'm an asshole. I just look around. Oh, I see you're having a bad day, shaking your legs, huh? I'm that asshole. I can't help it. Never mind. I pay attention. I pay
Your
attention to
stem
fucking
is pointing
everything.
out everyone else's stem.
Yeah, I pay attention to everything. That's like, fuck you, Audra. Don't laugh too hard. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Laugh
that's
because right now I'm wearing a dress and I'm literally like what we talked about with Lyric. I'm rubbing the hairs on my legs because it feels good.
Stimming party.
I made a new joke, by the way. I was like, if I could say nigga, I can say retarded now. Everybody's like, oh, it went over pretty well at the black club. The white people were like, I don't know. Can we laugh? Are we saying he's a nigga? Laughing at him? Or are we saying he's retarded? But that's where somebody's like, what's your stim? And I laugh. And if you've ever seen me get bad news in real life, what do? I laugh. And I'll laugh with a fucking tears in my eyes. And yeah, it's great. All right. I'm not crying. Yes, I am. I'm about to cry now. So that's the other part is like we had somebody message me about the show and was like, there's no easy way to say it because they're like, you guys don't seem retarded. You guys seem like normal people. And I was like, because we're all special. We're all able to let our walls down and not stim or mask because we all know we're a certain way. And when you get us in a room of people who are similar that we don't put up our walls for, we don't really seem that bad. But the minute a normal person comes in the room, everybody puts their walls back.
Right? Ready for a job interview, like, hello, I'm normal. How are you?
Yeah, right. And then, like on the second week of the job, they've noticed you got a drawer full of rubber balls and wondered what's wrong with you. And you're like, well, I had to hide this from you because I wanted to get the fucking job. Sorry.
Well, okay, so I had to tell this funny story because literally yesterday I was at the park and I kept telling my mom, I think I recognize this person. I know this person. And the son was clearly autistic. I could see, and my mom kept telling me, just go up and say hi. And I said, no, that's too weird. I can't do that. I don't know how to start the conversation. And she told me, just go out and say, oh, your son is very cute. So I went up to this woman and I said, hi, your son is very cute. One, now I look back, was probably very creepy. And two, it turns out I did know the woman because guess what? She's a teacher in the local school district who I had gone head to head with in an IEP meeting. So this person doesn't like me.
Oh no.
It was a very awkward encounter. And I told my mom, I said, see, this is why I don't talk to people in public. I make an ass of myself. and this goes back to being autistic, is that when I'm out in public, I don't recognize people when they're not in the same situation. So like, because she was in the park, I didn't recognize her. Put me in a school district building, 100%. Nope. So yeah, very socially awkward. I get it.
And then like I can remember like one of the things I always say, like I'm not black enough, I'm not white enough. I think Audra can remember this back in high school. Everybody, we used to always, what you gonna say, you're black and that's why it happened? And it was like half the shit was happening because I was black and I couldn't filter it. And you know what I mean? Like I guess that's where my autism comes in. I say what's on my fucking mind. And then I'm in public and I'll fucking no, I don't like how you're fucking talking to me.
Yep.
I just hate being this big and black and being autistic because the little white kids, they're not getting security called on them. Anyways, I digress. Let's move forward. So I'm going to ask a hard question. let me ask you, do you feel like your life would have been different if you'd have got your diagnosis when you should have got it?
That's a really good question. So the thing is, I did receive services when I was younger, but no one ever told me what they were for. And so I always thought it was for a learning disability. I knew I had ADD. I knew I had problems with executive functioning. So staying organized, completing tasks in an orderly, timely manner. And so I know I had difficulty with that, but I also went to an occupational therapist to help me with my motor skills and my coordination and things like that. I went through to her in elementary school, that stopped in middle school. And I actually thought to get my IEP discontinued when I was in middle school because I was tired of feeling like I was different. And of course, in our ableist society, getting, services was bad. There was a stigma attached to it. I didn't want that stigma following me around. I was already embarrassed when I was in elementary school, and I had to write on a slant board. And my friend sitting next to me didn't have to do that. And I remember I felt that I felt singled out, and I knew it was something that was going to help me, but it wasn't framed that way. And I just remember my teacher coming up to me because she could tell I was upset. She's like, I bet your friend over here wishes they had a slant board. And I was like, no, that's bullshit. They don't, they don't want. But the good thing is, as a teacher, I get to tell people, I get to tell my students, this is just a different way for you to do it. Some friends need to write on the desk. Some friends need to write on a slant. And, I do my best to destigmatize I have a little boy with Down syndrome in my classroom. He's still in diapers. And so we have a little bathroom in the classroom, and one of my paras takes him to get changed. And the kids, they're like, I told them, this is just his way of being in school. He's not at a point where he can be potty trained yet. This is just what he does. And they're like, okay, but to answer your question, I think in a way it might have been helpful for me personally if I knew that the reason I couldn't play sports or talk to people or do well in school was because of something that I couldn't help. I think that might have been helpful. But to tell kids that when I was growing up, there was still that stigma. There's still that stigma today too. There's another boy that I knew growing up. He had Asperger's. He was about as Aspergery as they came. And even though people knew that, they were like, he's still weird, I'm
mad at the way he said he's about as Aspergery as they come. Go ahead. I know. What does that mean? Like Duante, just a flat out asshole, just saying shit all the time? Go ahead.
Asshole Asperger.
Hey, fuck you guys. I heard what you said. I feel attacked here. We're gonna pause though, because we had a couple of good questions while you talked about what we were talking about. And somebody asked, is there different stems for different emotions? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this thing they taught me about called selective mutism. If I get mad enough, I don't say shit. If I get emotional enough, I'm not gonna say anything because I'm on emotional overload, right? And then being your scared stem isn't the same as your excited stem, which isn't the same as your I'm just happy stem, which isn't the same as your everyday I'm just going to do this to annoy the fuck out of everybody stem, right? So did I miss anything on that? Did I cover all the stems?
Or sometimes that you just sit and you stem while you're doing work. You're just sitting and you're waiting for the bus or something like that.
The board stem.
Mm-hmm. Board stem. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, just so everyone is clear, yes, other autistics can annoy other autistics by each other's stems. So yes, we all get along with our own.
That's the
and also neurotypical people stem too. Yeah. Yet they don't get. It's like the clicking of the pen, chewing on the tip of a pencil, tapping your foot. It's not something. It's not like some thing that's terribly specific just to
it's just written
neurodivergent.
Like, it's a habit.
Mm-hmm. And just to double down on what Audra said, people on the spectrum are just as much assholes as regular people. Don't get it twisted. Don't think we're any nicer. We're actually quite worse because emotion is taken out of 90% of what we say. So we just logically tell you, hey, I don't like what the fuck you're doing. Will you stop?
We're just telling you, please don't.
yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like. Oh God, I miss being a parent, and I hate being in those classes. But I have flashbacks to thinking of looking around and just being like, I don't like half these kids, right? Because they stemmed in the wrong way, or most of them, you know, I'm the one big black kid in the fucking special ed portable, right? But then the idea that, like, when we got out of the portable, though, you didn't get to fuck with them. Like, that was the other part, is I'm 6'2", 280. Like, I've been on this good size for a while, and so we'd go to the playground and they'd start fucking with them, and they're like, no, you guys are one of me. I got you. Here I come to save the day. Oh God. And then the other good question we had is the Penelope asked is, what's the hardest part of masking for you ladies?
Hardest part of
I'll let
masking.
Rachel answer first, but I'll let Rachel.
Great. Thank you.
That's very white of you, Audra. Jesus.
I don't know. I think she's just following every woke white person, like white black people to the front.
Yeah.
They'll get hit with the tear gas. Fuck it. Oh shit, too soon.
What's the hardest thing that I have to do to mask? Sometimes I try to keep my stimming under control because my mom would hate when I would stim. She'd be like, stop that. I'm like, I'm not bothering you. But I think what else is tough for me? I think as an adult, I think the stimming definitely, but I think I've gotten a better handle on when to talk and when to not, or what subjects to bring up and what subjects not to bring up. Subjects that are kind of boring or esoteric, I try not to bring up as much, especially the people I don't know. And so it does make me a lot quieter. I'm a lot more quiet when I mask, I think. But I would say, I think that's what I would say.
What about you, Janejira?
I think for me, the hardest part is like keeping track of who I've masked in front of and who I like can be myself around. And then sometimes like I get them mixed up, and then I like stim in front of someone who like doesn't know I'm on the spectrum. So it's like, are they gonna notice? Do I have to explain this? And then I like get caught in my head and I think about it, and then I start spacing out, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I need to pay attention and be social right now. This is a social situation. Back to earth. Hello. Or when I'm in like a new situation or something, it's like, am I allowed to be myself here? Is it socially acceptable to info dump in this environment? That's my biggest one. And then if I realize that it kind of isn't, then it's like, oh, well, now I feel terrible, and I'm gonna feel terrible about it for the whole time, because then I feel like I'm talking too much. But then all my life I've been told like, you're so quiet. It's like, it's not because I want to be, it's because I don't fucking know how to communicate with you people.
And when I open those floodgates, you might not be able to handle what I have. Because again, I do the info dumping. I do, also trying to figure out when it's okay to talk to people, when it's not okay to talk to people, like if they're talking to somebody else, or if they just seem like we have like a small talk conversation, and maybe like there was a point where the conversation just ended and they're ready to either stop talking or go talk to somebody else. It's something that I have to kind of calculate in my head all the time. So that's really tough.
Yeah.
What about you, Audra?
I can understand that. The toughest part for me was masking my whole life, basically, because I was diagnosed in my 30s. And it really brought on a lot of depression and anxiety that stayed with me, a long time. And I can tell you, you guys are much younger than I am. So I can tell you that as you get older, the older you get, the less you fucking care.
Notice this.
Yeah, and so I stim now whenever I feel like it. I don't give a shit where I'm at. Public, private, I don't care. I do it now because I am tired of that masking, because it did bring me so much physical pain to really hold it in. The only time I still mask now is at my job, because
I mean, you kind of have to at that point.
yeah, I'm a therapist and an advocate, so it's to stim in front of another autistic is great. I do, but if they're escalated or are very upset about something, I don't want to stim and create even more sensory overload for them. So I have to remain calm.
Yeah, I look at it differently because I've got a different mask than everybody. I got to play the black-white card. And
True.
I've done that my whole life. And I did, I had my white mom who who was one of those ghetto white girls who'd say the word, the N word. She'd be in public, be like, nigga, come here. And all the black people would be looking at her like, what the fuck? And I'd have to tell them that's my mom. And then, right. And then there's the other side of that where I try to be in a black neighborhood and I'm not black enough. Right. And I'm trying to be black. And so, the idea of stimming, the neurotypical stim, was never a big deal for me because I wasn't out of school long enough to know better. And I don't think you know this, Rachel, but I went to 13 different schools. It wasn't until high school that I went to school for more than 2 years. And so by the time I wore off being the new kid, I left. We had moved schools. I had changed programs. I went from special ed to even more special ed, or back to normal because my grades got up, or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. And so when I think about this question of masking, like for me, it's different. I'm masking every day. Every day I'm masking that I'm a big black guy. Every day I'm masking, you know what I mean? So much shit because we're not allowed to be big and scary. And then the one for me is knowing I'm autistic explains, like, when my mom died and I got selective mutism and I'm walking around the hospital fucking losing my shit because I'm mad and they called security on me and I almost fought the security guard because they wanted me to calm down. And I had to look at the guy and be like, I'm not fucking calming down. My mom's fucking dying. What the fuck do you want me to do? And got very confrontational. So
Can you blame yourself? I mean, really?
I don't know, but it's different, and that's where, like, we had Kayla Marie on here, and she has a wonderful story of freeing herself from sex trade and human trafficking and all that. But then she has this very easy story of how she got diagnosed and went from day one to diagnosed and getting medicine and help of like 45 days to 60 days. And my black ass couldn't help it and said, that sounds very white. Like that doesn't happen for any of us else. And it was that's where I guess, I don't know, I guess the masking in a professional situation is something we have to do because you don't want to get the double-edged sword of not only offending somebody, but getting in trouble. Well, I actually answered the question they asked. Somebody said, what about you, Duante? What's your hardest mask? My hardest mask, I think, is not being scary. Our co-host Jane's mom was scared of me when I knocked on the door to drop off her SuitMan shirt.
I mean, to be fair, she didn't know that like he was coming or like what was happening. All of a sudden there's a black man at the door and she's like,
it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, is that's the hardest mask for me, is trying to come off what's the word? Undangerous,
non-intimidating.
Yeah, I can't do that. And either I'm because I'm loud and I'm gregarious. Usually when I'm stimming and I'm masking, I'm usually loud and gregarious, so people aren't scared of me. And then that even scares other people because you're too loud. And then if I'm not talking, well, then you're just the quiet, scary black guy in the corner. Like that's the hard mask for me, is masking how people feel about my skin tone. Let's see. I think we've got through most of the stuff. This is the shittiest part of the show. I know it's coming up next. I love the way Rachel's like, what the fuck? That's a joke. That's a joke. I hate this section. I just give Audra a hard time. Audra's got a couple questions for you. Go ahead, Audra. I know you've been waiting.
You know what I did? Because I decided to take your advice, Dante, and just go with the flow. I did not prepare for the show.
Oh, fuck off.
I am doing a natural thing today. And actually, I would like Janejira to ask a couple questions. So I'm going to do 2.
Yeah.
Janejira is going to do 2. Hey.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to the lightning round. This is where we ask some, what was it? We ask some neurotypical questions, and then we ask some more autistic questions, and then you answer them, and we have a great time. But we kind of get through it kind of quickly, I guess.
How many points are each question worth?
No points. Everybody's a fucking winner. That's why I hate these fucking questions. Go ahead.
The audience is entertained. You basically won.
It's like whose line is it anyways? The points don't matter.
Let's see. One of the questions: what is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur? You know, I really like Triceratops.
Yeah, hold up. I've got a prop for that.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
One today.
He doesn't have BDSM bear out today. It's all right. Shit.
Watch our other shows for context. And then let's see. Oh, here's a fun question I asked somebody the other day. If you were a cake, what flavor would you be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, what flavor would I be? I think I would really be more of, I was thinking more of like something that's like light and fluffy, like an angel food cake, I think. I feel like that's more of my personality, like light and fluffy, bubbly.
Perfect.
Yes. Audra, what about you?
Oh my gosh. I would be okay, Dante's gonna laugh. I'm obviously a vanilla cake because I'm pretty vanilla. But I got the chocolate frosting on the inside with the sprinkles and the jimmies.
What the fuck? She just say she fucks black guys? Is that what she's getting at here?
Wow. Wrong show.
Wrong show. Is that dating with disabilities? Oh fuck. All right. Go ahead.
Just means that I like any color of the rainbow, hence the bisexual and any gender, any race, man. There you go.
Jesus Christ. Do
Okay.
I get to ask? None of those things. Hold on. Let me get into it. Like I feel like if I'm a cake, honestly, I'm probably me. Shit. I was thinking I'm a lemon meringue.
Ooh,
Right? Because I'm
meringue
sweet.
pie.
Yeah, I'm sweet, but I'm tart. Right? There's that fluffy part of me on the outside, but on the inside, I'm really just solid like the meringue, the lemon.
I thought maybe red velvet. You're technically chocolate, but you're red on the outside with the white frosting.
And they're fancy.
Fuck you, Rachel. You laughed too hard at that. I don't know what to say anyways.
Because I thought it was so silly.
I'm out of here. I'm about to take me out of here. I don't want shit to do with your fucking questions. Next question.
I would be like a strawberry ice cream cake, but like with a bunch of like rainbow frosting and stuff. There's a lot of fun eating.
That is perfect for you.
All the flavors. And then Audra, it's your turn to ask questions.
Oh, so I get the neurotypical ones, which I think are the boring ones.
Well, you can make them exciting.
I can make them exciting. What would be if you had any money, like all the money in the world, or money wasn't an issue, what would be your favorite travel destination?
Where would I go? I think I would love to go a couple different places. I would love to go to Ethiopia. I would love to go to Italy. I would love Italian food. Yeah, I think that's where I would want to go. Maybe, I think that's where I
Cool.
would like to
Don't like
go.
to travel, so some people, tell me, oh, I just like to stay in my RV or drive around, which is great.
Oh, yeah, you can do like a little road trip.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess then my other question I'll do today, we'll make it 4, so this will be the last one. If you could describe yourself as any animal, because we're doing describing today, what would it be?
As any animal,
Mhm.
I think I would probably be some kind of Labrador, I
Aw.
think,
Probably a
because
chocolate lab, I'm assuming, right?
not a black lab. Was that too on the nose?
It's not PC. That's why I said chocolate. All right, fuck you. All right, my white side coming out.
A dog with
Yeah, I think they're just happy and they're friendly. And they want to be around people and be loved. So yeah, I think that describes.
That would be very good, because being light and fluffy with the angel food, then the little Labrador, that would, the very
Mhm.
sweet. Yep.
I think she's hitting on you, Rachel. Watch out. Oh, look at you frowning. Oh, you can tell the jokes, but I can't. Gotcha, bitch. Isn't
Only
that
when you
how-
call me out. No.
Gotcha, bitch.
Wrong show.
So here's the thing: is I got a question for you,
Mhm.
and I've got a good question. I think. So seeing how you're a comedian, especially a black female comedian, how do you feel autism has affected your ability to network, mingle, and really want to? Because I know you don't like talking to other people. So how is this? How have you been able to overcome that and kind of reach out more and get more out there?
I like talking to others.
Not all the time, but go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. It was something that I had to do to get out of my comfort zone when I first started out. A friend of mine who really believes in me, she said, you have to talk to people after mics and shows, and so you got to get out of your comfort zone. And once I felt more confident in my ability, I think that's what really helped me want to reach out to other people when I know that I'd done well. And so that made it a lot easier for me to go and talk to other people, because they'd be like, oh yeah, I saw you had a good set. So it's something like I'm definitely brought out of my comfort zone a little bit when I do it, but I think the more that I've been able to reach out to people in person and talk to them, and it is also a lot easier to talk to people via email for me, but I think just knowing that I have the goods to back it up has definitely also helped when talking to other people. So it's just something that I have to get used to, because I also wasn't used to being so forward in the past. Like, hey, I would love to get a spot on your show, things like that. But what I've realized is that, first of all, like, a white man wouldn't think twice about doing it. A white, like, neurotypical, or relatively adjust for a comedian type guy, they don't think twice about going up to a booker and being like, hey man, can I get a spot on your show? So regardless of how good they are. So
Hold up, stop. Let's stop there. 'Cause, you just gave me a perfect question to talk about. What happened when you decided to make your black meetup group? What happened with that? And what is your black meetup group? What happened? What kind of response did you get?
Oh, yeah. So I run a bi-monthly group for just Black comedians where we just hang out on Zoom and we like talk to each other, we network, which has also helped with networking. And then I was trying to every month do a virtual joke workshop for just Black comedians, and it's been well received for the most part, but almost every time that I post, especially in the Displaced Comedians group, which is just a group of comedians from all across the world who like want to do like virtual stuff, I always get some white guy who's like, well, why is it just got to be for Black comedians? You know, like this is discrimination, or you wouldn't like if you made a group just for white guys or something like that. And at this point, I just ignore it. I can't. I mean, it's so stupid. So I just ignore it.
The
At this
comedy
point,
market is basically like, what is it, 90% white straight males?
mm-hmm.
I think we've got it down about 83%, but yeah. No, the reason why I brought that up is because I asked some of these questions knowing the answer when you're like, I have no problem talking with people. And they're like, well, I'm not really good at networking and following up, right? Or, right, I know the answer. I know what you're going to say here because I had the same fucking problem. I'm done. I don't want to talk to anybody. I did my set. Great. Bye. And I think you hit it on the nail, is once I got comfortable with being a funny comedian, it was easier to talk to people.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Because there's that gray area, and I think you know what I'm talking about when you start and the white comedians like it first, and then you're funny, and then they don't want to like you anymore, and you start doubting if you're funny. Then you got to go somewhere new, and they're like, no, you're still funny. And you're like, hey, all right, this works. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's been different. One last question I've got for you, if nobody else does. Thanksgiving's your favorite holiday. Why?
Yeah. What? You don't like that? I love Thanksgiving. Okay. I think I love it.
Thanksgiving. I don't fucking like turkey. First reason. Continue.
Okay. First of all, turkey's good if you know what you're doing with it. Okay. You have to brine it first to make it juicy, right? And you add seasoning and flavor to it. So I feel bad for whoever says that, they don't like turkey, because whoever made turkey for them is clearly doing it wrong. So
deep fried turkey?
I've not had deep fried turkey.
I have. I still don't fucking like it. I don't like the taste of turkey. I don't like. There's a poultry taste to it that I just don't like. Go ahead.
Interesting, but it's my mom's favorite holiday, and she's a really good cook. So I love. It's the first time during the school year that I get to go home and visit my family, and it's my nuclear family, and then we have like friends that would come over, because over the years we've kind of not lost our relationship, but our relationship with my grandparents has changed, so we don't go to their house anymore, and our table has over the years become a place for people who have also either don't have plans for Thanksgiving or can't go home to their family, or have also lost the relationship with their family. So we've become this like crew of misfits all getting around and enjoying a meal together. And every year I make a Thanksgiving themed trivia game I call it Turkey Trivia. And we play it every year after dinner. And it's a lot of fun. So, and then the morning before we do the 5K, we do the turkey trot, which I really like, because I always feel like I accomplished something before I decide to pig out on turkey. So, I like Thanksgiving. Sue me. Yeah.
I might have to, goddammit. I mean, your mom's putting fucking raisins in the potato salad. Like,
she's
what the fuck?
No, she's not.
I like how Rachel's like, she's not that white. Fuck you, all right? Don't be telling me.
Put raisins in potato salad. You don't do that.
You're over-whiting my adopted mom. It's bullshit, okay? Even though she did the fucking, never mind, I can't even think of the lady. What is it? Jake, Brad Pitt, and Jolie. They adopted 3 different races. Like, they were the original Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Sorry,
yeah.
I can't make do it. That's punching down. I'm not supposed to do that. Oh well. What's your next show coming up? Where can we find you next?
I think my next show, it might I think it's the show that I have. I'm going to be at Gotham Comedy Club in New York on the 28th of June.
I love Gotham Comedy Club, just so you know. I've been there.
Oh, awesome. This is my first time there, so I'm super excited and nervous. But yeah, I'm really excited.
I know a booker out in Boston. I'll get you in touch with them.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can be their token black person. That's what she's saying. I know how this works. I've seen Boston lineups. There's one.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a given for me at this point. I'm like, okay, I'm on the show. I'm a token. Like, I don't like, that's just how it is. Some things will never change.
It's funny you say that, because I had a conversation. They're like, why is SuitMan so important? And I was like, so it's the first time a lot of comics can invite friends to their shows, and now they're not going to be offended by somebody else usually on the show. Like, don't you love that as a black woman, when you're on a show and within 3 minutes the first white guy makes a rape, sex, racist joke, and you're just like, great. Thank you for coming to my show, friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any other questions for Rachel? We've hit our time. I know it, parting is a sweet sorrow, but that's it.
Another wholesome episode.
Sort of wholesome episode.
Couple of F-bombs in there. Thanks to me. Well, give it up. Tell us your social medias. Tell us where to find you. Tell them how, all that great stuff real quick, Rachel.
Yeah, so I'm at Miss Rachel Dunbar on Twitter and Instagram. That's just at the Mrs. MS RACHELDUNBAR. Yeah, you can follow me on there. Yeah, you can Venmo me. My username is Rachel-Dunbar-5. If you're feeling super generous and want to help me pay to travel for comedy.
I hate that word. Like, I always feel like an old sugar daddy where I hear a woman say, if you want to be generous. That was I'm mad at the way Rachel laughed. That was the term women used to play that game on. I'm looking for a generous man. Oh, I heard what you said. I'm broke. Bye. Give it up for Rachel Dunbar, everybody, out of Boston, Massachusetts, comedian, kindergarten teacher, and overall awesome fucking person. Give it up for you're late. Hit your sound effect. Come on, what the fuck?
Did you not hear it? Is that...
There we go. We finally got
it.
I don't know what you changed from week 1, but go back. Whatever you're doing, that's garbage.
It's been the same the whole time.
Bullshit. I don't believe
Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know.
Well, go fuck off. Give it up for our co-host, the very unprofessional potato chip enthusiast.
Hello.
Pretty soon to be the salsa lady.
Yes.
And then
I need
our
some
other
dip for my chips.
Yeah, some dip for your chips. Our other co-host, the older sunshine Audra. And last but not least, your community asshole, Duante, SuitMan, Barnett. It's been a blast. We love you. Come back tonight. Fuck, I didn't even think about it, Rachel. I had a spot open up. We're doing Black and Proud. Not that
fun.
Black and Proud. It's the Black and Proud LBGTQ show. We'll have a lineup from all over the country, celebrating them with the combination of Pride Month and Juneteenth. It is a great opportunity for you to support some Black and Proud artists and donate for the show. That'll be at 8. That'll be at, oh shit, I don't even know what time it is. Fuck, I think it's at like 6 p.m. fucking Pacific Standard. Hold on, let me figure it. Fuck. I gotta do everything around here. It's at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be on SuitMan Productions as well. Thank you for tuning in tonight. You guys have been great. Have a great day. And to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.